Did you know the most famous shot in this movie barely exists as real film? Death Becomes Her, released in 1992, was sold as a glossy comedy about two women who hate each other. What happened behind the camera was colder. Prosthetic suits, harness rigs, a brand new kind of digital surgery, and an ending so bleak the studio cut it out and hid it. 10 weird facts about a movie obsessed with staying young forever. Some are funny, some are ugly, all of them are true. Let's count down. Number 10. The fat suit nobody talks about Goldie Hawn spends part of this film locked inside a body that is not hers. Before the glamour, before the revenge, Helen Sharp is shown as a woman who has collapsed into herself. To get there, Hawn was built up with a padded prosthetic suit and face pieces that reshaped her jaw and cheeks. This was not a costume you step into and zip up. It was a long session in a makeup chair first, then a full working day of carrying the thing around under hot lights. Suits like that trap heat. They change how you sit, how you breathe, how you eat between takes. And the comedy still had to land. Hawn had to play a woman drowning in self-pity while sweating inside a shell of foam and glue, hitting marks she could barely feel through the padding. Here's the part that stings. All of that work covers only a few minutes of finished film. The audience laughs, the story moves on, and Helen gets her miracle makeover. Nobody in the theater is thinking about the team that spent the morning gluing a second body onto a movie star, or about the actress inside it counting down to the moment she could get it off. She was one of the most bankable comic actresses alive. For those scenes, she was mostly a mannequin with a pulse. On screen, it plays like a throwaway joke. In the chair, it was endurance work. Number 9. Bruce Willis erased Bruce Willis, the biggest action star of the moment, agreed to look like nobody at all. Willis plays Ernest Menville, a nervous plastic surgeon with thinning hair, glasses, a soft middle, and a whine in his voice. No swagger, no gun, no smirk. He spends most of the film being bullied by two women, drinking too much, and sweating through his shirt. The camera is not there to flatter him. It is there to catch him flinching. The timing matters. This came right after Hudson Hawk, which had been savaged in 1991 and after years of being sold as the wisecracking hero who walks out of the fire. Playing a coward with a receding hairline was a deliberate step off that pedestal, and it left the marketing team with a strange problem. How do you sell a Willis movie where Willis never throws a punch? Here is the crazy part. It works. Ernest is the only character in the film who registers as recognizably human, because he is the only one allowed to be pathetic. The vanity around him is played as horror. His cowardice is played as truth. Everyone else was chasing eternal beauty. The action hero volunteered to look worse. Number 8. The camera that refused to sit still. Robert Zemeckis would not bolt his camera to the floor, and that decision quietly tortured everyone downstream. For decades, the rule for trick photography was simple. If you want to combine pieces of film, lock the camera down and do not move it. A still frame is forgiving. A moving one is not. Zemeckis ignored that. He wanted his camera gliding, circling, pushing in, even in the shots where a neck snaps or a body opens up. That meant the effects crew could not just paste one image on top of another. Every separate piece of film had to agree with a moving point of view, frame by frame, or the illusion would slide and wobble and die. It made the shots slower to plan, harder to shoot, and far more expensive to finish. And then it paid off. The impossible moments in this film do not feel like effects sequences where the movie stops and holds its breath. They feel like something the camera happened to catch while it was busy moving. That is why they still hold up. A locked camera would have been cheaper and safer. It also would have made the whole film look fake. Number 7. The first version was nastier. Before it was a glossy studio comedy. This story was meaner. The screenplay is credited to Martin Donovan and David Cope, and Cope was still years away from becoming the writer everyone in town wanted. Both writers have described earlier versions of the material as darker and colder than what reached the screen, closer to horror than to farce, with less shine on the cruelty. By the time it was shot and cut, it was being played for laughs and glamour. But look at what survived. A marriage where both people would happily watch the other die. A woman who spends decades planning revenge over a man she does not even want. Bodies that break and keep talking. A potion that saves your face and rots everything else. None of that is soft. Here's the twist. The comedy version is arguably harsher than a straight horror version would have been, because nobody in this film gets to be good. There is no innocent character to root for. The audience laughs and then realizes it has been laughing at people with nothing left inside them. The jokes got louder. The rot stayed exactly where the writers left it. Number 6. They hired the face of eternal youth. The woman selling eternal beauty in this film was, at the time, one of the most famous beauty faces on Earth. Isabella Rossellini plays Leal von Ruhmen, the ageless hostess who hands out a potion that stops time. Off-screen, Rossellini had spent years as the face of a major cosmetics house, a household image of expensive perfection, and the daughter of Ingrid Bergman on top of it. Casting her was a joke the audience got instantly. Then, life finished the joke. Within a few years, in her early 40s, that same beauty industry moved on from her, and she has spoken openly since about being dropped for the crime of getting older. Decades later, in 2016, the company hired her back and treated it as progress. Here is what makes it land. This movie spends 2 hours mocking an industry that throws women away the moment their faces change. That satire came for its own actress in real life, and it came fast. Leal promised her clients that beauty never has to end. The business behind the camera had a shorter contract. Number 5. Meryl Streep's daily dead face, one of the greatest screen actors of her generation, spent this shoot doing comedy from inside a corpse. Once Madeline dies and keeps walking, Streep's look changes completely. Gray-blue skin, sunken shadows, deadened, glassy eyes. That is not a filter. That is paint, powder and appliance work applied over and over, day after day, plus wigs and rigs and posture she had to hold once she was in it. The cruel part is what it takes away. A face is an actor's main instrument, and this makeup flattens it. Skin that reads as cold rubber cannot blush, pale or twitch the way living skin does. So Streep had to move the performance somewhere else, into timing, breath, and that clipped, offended voice. Playing a woman who is furious that death has inconvenienced her, and she plays it as vanity, not tragedy. Madeline is not scared of being dead. She is scared of looking dead. Every complaint is about her surface. Streep was buried under a corpse mask. The joke still gets through, which tells you how little of it was coming from her skin. Number 4. The star who turned on the green screen, Streep, did not walk away from this experience impressed. She has talked since about how joyless heavy effects work is. Standing on a taped mark, reacting to a tennis ball, a stick, or a blank wall. Waiting long stretches while machines and crews solve problems that have nothing to do with acting. Repeating a small motion until it matches a plan that only exists on paper. For a performer built on reacting to other performers, it is close to solitary confinement with catering. And there was a second frustration stacked on top. She was in her 40s, in an era when the offers for women her age narrowed fast and got stranger, which is how a serious dramatic actor ends up hanging in a harness with a fake broken neck in the first place. Here is the irony. This film pushed digital effects forward in ways the whole industry copied within a few years. It also helped push one of the best actors alive away from spectacle filmmaking for a long stretch of her career. The technology got its breakthrough. The lead actress got a lesson she never forgot. Number 3. The hole straight through her stomach, one of the film's biggest laughs, required an actress to hold absolutely still. A shotgun blast tears a hole clean through Helen's middle, and she keeps arguing through it. You can see the room behind her, right through her body. To pull that off, Hawn was positioned so that the real part of her torso was hidden from the lens. Matching background material had to line up perfectly behind her, and the edges of the wound had to be blended in so the eye never catches a seam. That kind of trick has no tolerance for drift. If the actress shifts an inch, or the background does not sit exactly where it should, the hole stops being a hole and becomes a smudge. So the comedy timing had to be delivered inside a straitjacket of technical rules, take after take, and it lasts seconds. That is all. A few seconds of screen time built on stillness, measurement and repetition so the audience can laugh at a woman ignoring a wound that would kill anyone. It plays like the loosest gag in the film. It was one of the most tightly controlled shots on the schedule. Number 2. The digital skin invented for this movie, this comedy about cosmetic surgery, accidentally invented digital cosmetic surgery. The effects house behind it, Industrial Light and Magic, was working with tools that barely existed. To sell the gags, artists had to blend fake bodies into real ones, smooth away the seams where a prosthetic met living skin, erase rigs and supports, and paint over the joins one frame at a time until the human body could be edited like a photograph. It won the Academy Award for Visual Effects, and the win was not sentimental. Nobody had seen skin manipulated like that before. Here's the part that outgrew the movie. Those same techniques and the people who developed them rolled straight into the run of 1990s films that rewrote what audiences believed a camera could capture. The habit of quietly fixing, blending, and reshaping human bodies in post-production started becoming normal here, and the target keeps getting closer to home. The trick this film used for laughs is now used seriously, all the time, to smooth faces, remove years, and keep aging stars looking untouched. Lysail sold a potion that stops time. The effects crew shipped one that actually works, and the whole industry drinks it now. Number 1. The neck that was never filmed, the most famous image in this movie, does not exist on any single piece of film. Madeline falls down the stairs, her neck snaps, and then she stands up and keeps complaining with her head turned completely backwards. It is the shot people quote decades later. It was assembled, not photographed. A body had to be posed and dressed to read as facing the wrong way. A head had to be built and positioned. Streep had to be shot separately, holding her own head at an angle that made the illusion possible, so that pieces could be stitched into one continuous person who walks and talks. Then came the invisible work. Matching light, matching skin, hiding every join and edge from a camera that would not stay still. All of it built, so an audience would accept, for a few seconds, that a woman is standing in a hallway looking behind herself. Here is the crazy part. Nothing about that shot happened live. There is no take where anyone in the room could look up and see what the audience sees. It is the single most remembered thing about the film. It was never really there. Bonus fact, the ending they buried there is a version of this film where nobody survives happy. The original ending jumped years ahead and found Ernest older, alone and drinking in a bar in Switzerland, a man who escaped 2 monsters and ended up with nothing but a glass in front of him. He runs into a face from his past. The tone is not triumphant. It is defeated. It says the whole story was a waste of 3 lives. Test audiences reportedly hated it, and not in a useful way. They left flat and depressed. So the film went back and shot something else entirely. In the ending audiences finally saw, Ernest is honored at a funeral as a beloved man surrounded by family who loved him, while Madeline and Helen, still preserved and still bickering, break apart on the church steps. Details and pieces of that earlier version have circulated among fans for years, which is how anyone knows what was swapped out. And look at what the swap does. The released ending rewards the man and punishes the 2 women for wanting to stay beautiful. The buried ending let nobody off. One is a moral. The other was a verdict. A comedy about cheating death got its own ending killed and replaced. So the movie warning everyone about the price of vanity handed the industry the exact tool it now uses to hide aging. That is the joke nobody wrote. And somewhere in a vault there is a version where a man sits alone in a Swiss bar and the whole story means something colder. The film you have seen is the polished version. The production underneath it was suits and harnesses, painted skin, a star who came out of it wanting nothing to do with effects, and an ending quietly traded for something audiences could swallow. Which fact hit you hardest? The neck that was never filmed, the buried ending, or the actress who lost her beauty contract right after playing Eternal Youth? Tell me in the comments. If you like buried production history, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next one finds you.